Okay, so it's Tuesday. The game starts in about a half hour. I am driving, which I always maintained was an insane way to record, but we're going to give it a try, and perhaps as a bonus, you'll hear my fiery death. Lillard is back. Everybody knows about that part. I don't want to say that I'm going to be zero dark 30 for the remainder of the postseason, but I'm not really listening to what anybody else has to say about Game 1, other than, as you no doubt have, I've observed the crazy overreactions, right? So we got that. So Lillard's back tonight, and there was much rejoicing. I guess, all things being equal, I would have liked bringing him back for Game 3 off of a split. I have a little, so here's just being 100% transparent. I have a little bit of apprehension that everyone is forgetting that Giannis and Dame never really figured out who was going to drive the bus. And in the meantime, we kind of figured out this other way to cope with his absence. And so now, well, there's a couple things that I just generally believe. That I've come to see are basically almost always true, and that I generally believe. That you can get away with one bad defender. You can get away with one offensive weak link and one defensive weak link. Which also is part of what makes... Yeah, let's not talk about Kuzma yet, but that's also what makes kind of the Kuzma dialogue kind of dumb. As if Golden State didn't figure out how to thrive with Draymond being someone you can leave open. Like, lots of teams have a guy you can leave open. It's fine. Right? So... hopefully those listening to this 4 hours in the future are going to say we're going to get the good Dame. But I think what we've observed is only good and great Dame really plays for the Bucks. Like mediocre or bad Dame, it'd have been better if he hadn't suited up. And I just wonder if we're kind of forgetting that. Because, you know, he wasn't available last year, and just because of all the stuff that was taking place and all the kind of competing narratives, I'm hesitant to say, oh, yay, the cavalry is here. Because right now, what we have is... I mean, look, we got the Brook Lopez problem, which is the biggest problem, right? So everyone who got out their spreadsheets to, you know, kind of confirm what we had already been seeing, like, bully for you, like a gold star for you, so like you can see what was going on. I mean, we've talked about this for 5 years. You can see what's going on with your naked eye. And because Brook Lopez is so, I mean, again, he's slow of foot. It's not his fault. He's old and slow of foot. A good coach would put him in situations where he can still thrive and still do some things. And we just, you know, apparently are never going to have that. And so for me, I am more hesitant to blame Kuzma or Prince for the starting lineups with Brook Lopez, because it's clear to me that Brook Lopez is at least part of the big thing that we're talking about. The big thing that we're talking about. And whoever showed up the Reddit thread about is 7% that opposing teams shoot 7% better from deep in the playoffs when Brook is on the floor versus off, that would certainly jive with what, you know, we've been seeing. But regardless, I mean, it's almost like the MKE Robert tweet about the team can't shoot 55% from three or whatever it is every single game. It's like, well, yes, they can. The thing is, though, if Lillard was dead, I'd still say this is a 50-50 series. I still really feel like Game 1, we were shell-shocked. Well, and I personally felt watching Game 1, which was just super frustrating. I'm sure if you're listening to this, you're super frustrated by it. I'm not saying that Portis was the worst player because I didn't grind tape or anything like that, and that's not what you come here for me. It's like watch tape 27 times. I just felt that at all the inflection points, Portis missed those shots, we would have been down 6, or we'd have been right back in the game, and those were kind of the most important leverage shots. And the fake comeback was the fake comeback. But generally speaking, there was a shocking lack of effort, but it was still basically the Brook Lopez problem. So back to kind of I think one of the main tensions, man, this is really hard to do when you drive. Completely honest. One of the main tensions that we've always had as long as we've been talking about this stuff is the only sensible way, in my opinion, to evaluate or to look at basketball is to look at the guys like chess pieces or like archetypes, right? So whereas some people, the Bruce City Paul kind of contention, these other people want to be first on saying, because they were crunching 5-man lineups and the plus minus and looking at the plus minus and they're looking at all the deep cuts and statistics, and they're like, boy, I don't like how Kuzma looked from game 1 and 2, and so my case just builds and builds and builds, and I'm so thrilled. It's like they think they found a dinosaur bone that nobody else found, and so because they found the dinosaur bone earlier, they're really excited to be like Kuzma's Anthony Mason. Kuzma's the worst player to ever play, and that may be revealed to be true. But if you look at basketball and basketball players as chess pieces and archetypes, then I know who Kuzma is. Kuzma's going to play better at home. Kuzma's unreliable. I still think he's a tryhard, and I still think he has utility. But I know what that kind of guy is. Even as frustrated as we all were when he's missing the 8-foot shots, we know good and well he's going to go 7 for 9 on those shots, and those shots are there. And as much as I don't also want to hear Doc talk about, we got to get him some better looks. There are better looks to be had. He's consistently inconsistent. But I think he generally has pretty good effort, and we needed more athleticism. And I just think it was generally positive. That's why we generally had a positive record after we made the trade. But I don't have to be married to him because he's a spaz. And I think we're going to get that half the time. I think he'll play better at home. As you're listening to this, maybe he had a good game this past night. But I don't know. To me, I've always found, I'm not even really calling anybody stupid, but I just think it's a far more, I feel like the evaluation doesn't have as much noise when you just talk about people. Like Torian Prince is also somebody everybody's down on now. And obviously there's going to be a lot more chatter just because everybody's far more invested in the game. But just to me, would you be shocked if we get the Torian Prince 4 from 7-3, Gary Trent, 4 for 8, kind of 3, and everybody? Would you be shocked if we've gotten the big offensive explosions that we've seen quite a bit in the last couple of months? I wouldn't be shocked by that. Other thing that kind of tests me, so hopefully this works. Like if Dame is healthy, again, the positive spin, if Dame is healthy, Dame and Giannis together should be able to weather this storm. But I again, not to beat a dead horse, is he in shape? Like we got fed this line that he was just not in shape for months and months and months. So now what happens when he takes plays off because he's out of shape? So cautiously optimistic for tonight. I just would have liked this. I would have liked to have seen us get a April win, like the team that we were in March and April, the good version of that team with Porter Jr. and Derry Bird hitting timely shots, and that team that runs and gets steals and jumps in passing lanes. If you watch the history of the NBA, that team also gets playoff wins. The Pistons got a win last night. And I think we are capable of doing that in game 1. And so to me, not to look a gift horse in the mouth, but I think we could have won this defense and hustle. And all I've ever wanted this entire time is, okay, if Chris is special, is great. Everybody else has to run and hustle and get rebounds. Giannis is the freak, somebody else is the specialist, everybody else plays the role. And I said at the beginning of the season, I think I said it, the season before that Bobby's defense and Chris' defense and Brooks' defense and Dame's defense, like 2 out of 4 had to go. But what kind of happened is Bobby sort of left, and so we're still like, all of a sudden Bobby's a little bit of a darling just because Brooke gets slower every day. But we still got, 3 of those guys left, right? So we still got Dame and Bobby and Brooke. And if we're not finishing the game with Brooke, then it raises a real question to be like, why do we need to start him? I think the most likely outcome, though, frankly, is that in a week, the series will be 2-2. And I think the next highest likelihood is that we'll be up 3-1. And the next after that is that we'll be down 3-1. And the least likely is that we'll be swept. Although I'm open to that possibility, because after all, I am a Bucks fan. I don't know what all of y'all are, but I'm terrified of kind of all of this. So, no telling if this is audible or anything else, but it's terrifying doing this as I make my drive. I'm going to cut my phone off for 4 hours and do what I got to do, and then I will record something after I watch the Bucks game. Hopefully, as you're listening to this, we're tied 1-1. And then if I get my third win, I'll watch Andor and maybe I'll record another 5 minutes. So 5 minutes plus 5 minutes plus 5 minutes. Confidence is high.
It's 10:37 on the East Coast. My phone is still not back on, but I just kind of speed ran the game. Bucks lose, Bucks lose, Bucks lose. Ho ho ho! Bucks lose. Takeaways. Well, I like the fight. It does feel like the playoffs. We just got to find a way to stop Indiana, man. I mean, it's really. I do kind of. I very much enjoy because I have my phone off, haven't opened Twitter, haven't. The extent to which I know anything other than kind of what my eyes tell me is I just now opened the box score. Wasted quite a game from Portis. I think there's still a really decent chance that we pull this series out. I do think that. But Indiana's just really explosive, man. Like, we're not really stopping Indiana. Indiana just... It'd be interesting to know what their lowest quarter for points has been. Because it seems like they just... kind of like clockwork give 32 points at least every quarter, and they just kind of do what they do, and they might go into dry stretches. I would be interested who botched that last coverage. Kuzma ran out at Siakam when he got the three, which made the game virtually over. I'd be interesting like what actually happened there. They kind of got caught in the wash. This vibes wise, and you come here for the vibes, right? You're here for the vibes. This was the game that Scoot lost. It seemed like, yeah, he got a little bit hotter later, but just how many turnovers did dude have? Giannis has 4 turnovers. Porter Jr. 3. It's showing Sims is 2. I don't know. There were multiple times where the ball just seemed like it magneted to someone else's ball, to a Pacer's hand after a miss. And some of it was kind of lack of effort by Giannis and Scoot on the one play where McConnell gets his own rebound. Although it came right back to him, but it just seems like, I mean, but this is what happens in the playoffs, right? Like you're trying, and bad things happen. And what we've also learned is like when Porter Jr. tries, he might just trip somebody, because why not? This would have been an outstanding game 1 loss. A lot of fire, a lot of effort. This Gary Trent Jr. 1 for 4. This is why I don't have the box score out, because if I'm just going to talk about the box score now. Yeah, the square root of this apartment, Gary Trent Jr. 1 for 4 in 29 minutes, -1. Oh, I mean, Kyle Kuzma -7. Let me tell you, man, when Kuzma tricked off those first 2 shots, I am like, what kind of game am I in for? Yeah, other than that, he hung in there. So let's be clear, ball knowers. This is exactly the kind of player I think he is and thought he was. It's exactly the kind of player. You don't have to lie and act like he should be bagging groceries. This is the Kyle Kuzma experience. Let's see. Lillard 4 for 13. Why am I reading the box score? Because it's in front of me. Brook with several monster blocks, but again, I just say, like, if you can't finish the game, why start him? Another kind of inflection point, no shade on him, whatever that was, where we were kind of pushing it to 4, where he took maybe if he'd have made it 3 at the kind of end of the half, it would have been like a 3-point game. That's more make or miss league kind of stuff. So, I mean, but again, how could I complain? Brook Lopez, 16 minutes, 2 for 4 from 3, 4 blocks, 4 monster blocks. But this was a good road loss, except we were down 0-1. And I really appreciated the fight kind of at the end of the game. But this also is kind of the Lillard thing, man. Like, he's not that good anymore. And he's now kind of owes us 2 more. We need 2 more good performances from him to figure it out. Because, Giannis is basically hanging in there. 6 for 10 from free throw. All right, I'm closing my eyes. I'm going to stop looking at this. But, like, Giannis is playing well. He could theoretically play better. I mean, we didn't expect this to be as easy as, like, the Detroit game or, like, these Pelicans games that we were getting, where he gets to scan the floor like he's Jokic and just kind of make decisions. But I don't know how we stop Indiana. And it's frustrating that we can't stop Indiana on a game where we were shooting 52% late into the game or whatever it was. And some of it was making tough shots when what's his name tricked off the shot and it bounced like a million feet in the air and then bounced in. It seemed kind of like that kind of game. But the pieces are still there. The pieces for the Bucks are still there. This is a good Portis series. I was happy. I mean, I feel like he missed his first couple of threes and then kind of kept competing. That's how Chris Middleton. That's how you get to shoot 6 for 10 from 3. You just got to keep chucking them. But this one. So let's play a little game right now. Let's play a little game and called Imagine What the Takes Are Going to Be when I do open Twitter right now. What do I think everyone's saying? Will it just be the Rivers adjustments? Because again, as far as I can tell, like Rivers plays Porter Jr. when he's hot, and then he kind of finished with Kuzma where he wasn't finishing with before because he was somewhat more effective. And obviously, Portis was going to finish this game. Lillard's 37 minutes. I'm really interested because it's like he couldn't. I mean, I guess it's just a playoff game, but like he really couldn't play. Though, I mean, resting and load management is a complete myth, psyop, but it's kind of a lot of minutes for what you got. But I mean, again, it's Damian Lillard. You got to play him. So what are the takes going to be? The takes are going to be that Doc didn't adjust quick enough. That the game was over in the first quarter. I would guess that there were many takes based on Kuzma's first 2 shots, whereas if I'd have had the WhatsApp or the Signal chat open, I certainly would have said that too. We can win Game 3. And if we can win Game 3, we're right back in the series. But Game 3 is do or die. Let me ask you a question. Do you think people are going to stand up and cheer? Kind of answer my own question there. I guess we can just blame it all on the black jerseys. So we're going to try this again. This may be the worst episode ever. Now it's 10:45 on the East Coast. I'm going to hit pause again. I'm going to turn my phone back on. I'm going to walk my dog. And then I'm going to watch Andor. See you in a couple hours. It's Wednesday. Just finished Andor. It's Wednesday, 1 o'clock. So the 5 minute didn't quite work. Not that anybody really cares. The Disney Plus got overloaded and it just kind of was stopping every 5 minutes. So I woke up the next day and finished. Still kind of thinking about the Bucks, so not really sure if this will lapse into. Well, let's just do it right now. What has remained unfair, I would say, what I think turns down engagement for the Wisconsinites and probably turns it up for people elsewhere is I'm not doing any of this Giannis to the net stuff or Giannis wherever stuff. I think I've been pretty consistent on that. It's just disrespectful, and I don't need it. Maybe that works. Maybe I'm looking at this wrong. So I think what a lot of people will do, what I will certainly do, is just kind of continue to do the other things to make you happy, and then get ready for game time, which I guess is Friday now, right? I'm sure. So I'm gonna put this video out in a minute or whenever I finish talking. And I'm sure at some point I'll retweet the kind of one of the several videos about why the fans are awful, and try to get that going. But I think we can still win the series. I think we can still win the series. But nobody wants to spend the, at least for me. Maybe some of you are like masochists who are like into this. It's unfortunate, and not really wanting to fight the Kuzma Wars or the Doc Rivers Wars, or it's just back to game time. And I would say even in the group chat, a lot of resigned, well, that was off, like a lot of resigned kind of stuff. Crib is saying that we'll be swept, and Crib is also already now taking a victory lap on the empty calories of Scoot. So, fun stuff all around. Andor, spoilers for Andor, spoilers for Episode 4, spoilers for Rogue One, spoilers for the extended universe. And I think this will actually just be a minute. Really, really love the show. Really continue to appreciate how much it doesn't insult my intelligence. This, to me, was like, okay. And perhaps my expectations were up. I'm not really and again, I'm super tired, right? I'm super tired. It's super late. I'm not working this week, and so everything's kind of off. Staying up late, waking up late, all this. Everything with Mon Mothma is incredible cinema. The scenes, the care that's taken to not yada 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 the whole wedding subplot, and just like an actual wedding, there's like the engagement dinner, and then there's like the other dinner, there's like all this like plan, I just really liked how they took their time with all of that. And the kind of building toward Dr. Selvig is going to have to, take out the guy who was sort of the welcome collaborator in season 1 and now is like on his way out. All that's pretty great. Pretty great. And kind of interesting. I don't know if we needed the very last, rave scene to madness kind of thing. Like, I think it was conveyed previously when she takes a couple of shots of whatever that delicious looking kind of almost looked like a strawberry margarita kind of shot kind of thing. I think it was conveyed before they went to like the dizzying I'm dancing. But I guess even as I think about it now, like that scene, her husband was like into it. Her husband is like, "Oh, there's a whole new side of it." Yeah, because even his speech was marvelous. Where he's basically like, "Yeah, I'm sort of happy, but I enjoy the joy." Like the Epicurean, right? Like his whole deal is like, well, I'm just enjoying life. Life isn't supposed to make you happy. Find the joys. And as foppish as that character is very understandable. Like, we understand his outlook on life, and we understand that in the sort of heartbreaking scene with her telling her daughter, "Look, you don't have to get married." Today kind of scene again, a very understandable scene. You get that she's more like the dad, and she's going to judge the mom for that. And then the mom wipes away the tears, and then says, "Well, you have to get behind me because ultimately I'm doing this." All this, like the symbol, like the show doesn't beat you over the head with this is a thing that's happening, but it's not. It doesn't just like blow through the ceremony of all that. All that's wonderful. Like it's human, and what this does is it grounds the show because it makes it you like if a 10 out of 10 is Andor, then a 1 out of 10 is whatever Lizzo was doing with Jack Black, where it's like, whoa, that's a horse of a different color, and it was like clearly like doing Wizard of Oz kind of stuff. And just, we're on a lot, and we're wearing bright colors, and it's poorly lit, and the whole thing. With that being said, so all of that, like it's stakes. So like when you watch Bond, or you watch derivative spy kind of stuff related to it, I guess. And sometimes when these scenes like feature women also, there's like this weird kind of sense of like the best ones do stakes where it actually feels like, so when you're actually watching it, you're like, hey, whisper more. Hey, why is she standing by him too long? Or why aren't they whispering? Or how are they sure no one's listening? And like Mission Impossible 1, I mean, there's a million things just like that where they're fake diplomats and they're at the diplomatic ball or they're at the governor's ball or whatever, and they're going to sneak into some room and get the thumb drive or whatever else. And basically, obviously, some shows wink at that kind of stuff, and then it's all about how cool the clothes or the gadgets are, but it's basically like a lark. It's like, wow, this guy's so good, this is like a Tuesday for him, type thing. And other ones really have the stakes of like somebody's going to die if this doesn't work out. And because you're invested in the characters, but also because everything feels life and death, like it just grounds everything. And so everything feels more real, and it's not just a backdrop to get to the next scene. I'm not really sure what, and it could be just that I was tired or whatever. Look, these are reactions, right? Like I'm not, maybe I'm just missing something. I don't really get the purpose of him crashing onto the planet and them just fighting each other. Is it just to show that these rebellions are just sort of scattershot and infighting, and also not the most virtuous? Was that like the point of all of that? Because for me, it was sort of interesting, but it didn't seem to have as much deeper meaning. Or so basically, what, it's 3-episode arc. You have everything that's happening in Chandrila, or however you pronounce that. Then you have Cassian steals the not the X-Wing, the TIE, whatever. TIE, is it the Interceptor or the TIE? The special TIE fighter, basically. And then you have the immigration plot. The pretty well done. So whichever, if that's A, B, C plot, I think they're all A plot, but like that one, pretty well done. You kind of, well, and then also, well, no, that's not true, because then you have old girl is now living with their stalker, and a pretty good scene with the mom where she's like, "You're not manipulating me," and Dedra, and no, that's not true. So, and then what was that movie? There was an HBO movie that I didn't really see, but it was always on. And it was basically a bunch of English actors pretending to be Germans planning the Holocaust, or having meetings, and basically the meetings lead them to believe it's Holocaust. And that's kind of what their version of the CIA and their version of the proper, I think at some point they call it the Ministry, basically 1984-ish, they call it like the Ministry of something. the Ministry of Information or something like that. So they didn't say the Ministry of Truth or the Ministry of Love or whatever the stuff from 1984. But those scenes were great and interesting. And because we know where Krennic ends up, kind of backfills his anger at, or like he laid all this groundwork for Tarkin to just jack him in Rogue One and basically take all his glory, and that's why he was basically like, I'm going to talk to Vader. So there's some nice, all of that banality of evil kind of stuff is just really good. And again, they take their time with it, and she's like, well, look, the propaganda isn't going to be enough, you need rebels. And I guess the implication there is, like with so many other things we comment on, but we're not going to, like, the idea is extremists, how would I say this, that you can get extremists to get the public against the extremists, or you can in a Contra kind of sense, or let's not use real world stuff, you can basically weaponize extreme elements in a populace to then give an excuse to basically take over. You see, in my head, I'm like, don't say 9/11, don't say 9/11. But whatever, let's move on from that. But all that's great. Very subtle, very well done. So we got this new TV. I don't think it's, we got a great big TV. Everybody has a great big TV now. And for whatever reason, my wife hasn't, I don't think they call it motion smoothing anymore, but it's not, it's still filling in some of the gaps, and I don't like that. And I keep sort of undoing it. I felt a little bit like some of it looked like they were in the volume or whatever they call that thing, and they kept having commercials every 4 seconds because Disney Plus has commercials now, like literally like in the middle of scenes. I'm getting commercials in like 1.5 minutes of the same commercials for Snapdragon or whatever. And some of it didn't look real, but they kept saying, hey, did you know there were real sets? And if you guys watched it through Disney Plus, through Hulu, through whatever password, through the 18 different ways we got this, some of it didn't look as real as I remember Andor Season 1 to look. Now, Andor Season 1, like they're in the jungle some of the time. They're preparing to storm the dam or the bridge or whatever that is, and then they're in the prison, which is a set. But like, I felt like Season 1 so far felt a little bit more tactile. This had the feeling, again with this new TV, of, okay, the foreground's real and the background is a digital matte painting or whatever. But again, that's not really my level of expertise. But the best thing I'll continue to say about the show is it doesn't insult your intelligence and is really smart. I thought I missed, and Brasso, so resting, pouring out for Brazo. Brazo apparently is dead, left behind on the planet. All of the stuff on the harvest time was kind of good, but I thought I knew where that was going, and that went where I thought that was going. I knew what they were saying. They said it. And I don't, again, it wasn't poorly acted, but like the evil commander thing, I like how they took their time with that. They stretched that out. All of this is just going to be like one movie, so every week or every release date. I think that's still the case. Again, I still haven't even watched the trailer, so maybe I'm incorrect about this, but I think we're getting 3 episodes every interval, or perhaps I'm incorrect about this, but I kind of wanted a better actor for the rapist guy, or more compelling. Perhaps that's the point that he's supposed to. I thought it was all basically fine. Didn't really find him quite as compelling. But even the sense, the sense of dread about, okay, they're searching, are they checking passports? Yes, no, we're not sure. Are they doing this? The only thing I thought was bumped me a little bit and took me out of it, which I think was contra to the point they were trying to make with the screw up crew. And my son said, is that supposed to be Yavin 4, and it looked sort of like Yavin 4, but it was 2 in the morning, so I'm not sure. So I don't know if the whole point of that is Yavin 4. So if I missed that, great. It's possible. I don't really know what that proves, except maybe they're going back there. But what bumped me, what was kind of fake or noteworthy, is that they're eating, right? And it's like, well, if they go to this level, we'll let you know what direction they go. But everybody is theoretically on edge. And I guess maybe the thought is that they're not all illegal immigrants. They're not all illegal aliens, because that's clearly the metaphor that they're going for. But then also, I felt like you've never eaten anywhere where so many people are happy and laughing in the background and multicultural like that. It seemed a little bit odd. Everybody's like, oh, that, like everybody at that table is like, we don't have a care in the world, pass the corn, blah blah blah, ha ha ha. And then less subtle. What was subtle, and I'm still not sure, I feel like Brasso basically attacked the guy so he could, which was kind of like a stand-up guy move, basically attacked his facilitator guy, basically being like, we weren't in on it together, which was like a stand-up guy move, like, well, you betrayed me kind of thing. So I would imagine that these would be the worst 3 episodes that we're going to get. And I thought I saw that maybe now the next one will jump forward a year and they'll just kind of keep jumping forward. Like, I wouldn't expect, so Senta shows up at the end of the episode. I wouldn't expect that that we see her off the guy. I think it would just be assumed. And then the next episode will be like a year later. But because we don't need to see that, right? But she basically drives him away like the Godfather, and that's how it ends. So, again, no real way for me, 3.5 out of 4 stars. Very good. Very enjoyable. I kind of want to play that rock, paper, scissors game they were playing. But again, that just seemed kind of silly, and then like a dinosaur shows up, but I guess it's still Star Wars. But that... Sort of, they were sort of not as good, not quite as good, but because Andor season 1 is just simply sublime. I also so I'm not sure what's the word for diegetic. This is all one take, which I'm pretty happy with that pull of diegetic. I'm not sure if are we to understand that in the universe of Andor, in the universe of Star Wars, that the Andor club theme is like an actual song in the universe? Is it like, I can't get you out of my head? And so which would actually be quite interesting if this is like a year later. And so Andor starts with the basically brothel scene where the Andor club scene is like new. It's like new and hip or whatever. But like a year later, it's like the wedding song. Like a year later, it's like the Bruno Mars song, or it's like the song that everybody plays at the wedding and everybody knows to dance. The disco bot, the disco droid, no notes, great. I enjoyed it. But honestly, I think I'm trying to enjoy it more just because the Bucks have made me so unhappy. And everything is going to end. Anyway, have a great day. Oh, shoot, 20 minutes. Have a great day. Zip it up, zip it out.